Hey y'all, it's Danielle from Black Business Boom, and I am live with Thierrie Patterson, licensed financial strategist. Really excited to have Terry with me today. We had a great conversation a few weeks ago, and we're just going to be talking about the importance of planning and strategy when it comes to retirement and all of the other financial things that are important to you in life. Terry, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Can't complain. Really happy that it's almost the weekend. I'll tell you that. Well, I mean, we got to talk a little bit before we went live, and I'm curious to just learn a little bit more about what you're seeing when you are out in the community and folks are trying to plan for retirement or thinking about the future. What are some of the things that you are seeing in our community that we need to address?
Right, yes. So, one of the biggest things that I notice when I'm talking with individuals is either we just have a lack of knowing what to do, and because of that we are kind of putting ourselves in a position that we're not doing anything and we're waiting and we're hesitating, and so that's really causing a lack of planning to happen. And when we do that, we put ourselves in a position that we're basically procrastinating, and so we're getting to a point to where we are getting, let's say, really, really close to retirement. And just other things to plan for as well, including life insurance. But like retirement, we're getting very close to that time. And then finally deciding, okay, now when I retire, I think I want to have, between five to $10,000 a month. I haven't done anything yet. And now I only have this much to start. And so that causes a problem because as great as any financial professional is, nobody is Houdini. We cannot just be pulling money out of hats and making things work. And so we actually have to learn to give ourselves more ample time to actually put ourselves in a position to have the proper steps go into our planning, and also giving ourselves time to get that money to work for us, because that's the key to retire planning for retirement. It's not just about putting money in savings. Savings accounts and savings vehicles alone typically have a lower yield in what you're going to see in interest. So when we are planning those type of things, we're trying to find different accounts that have, a little bit higher rates of return, but at the same time, we have to think about compounding interest and how does that work. And even with that, it still is going to take years for the money to actually start working for you the way that you want to. So one of the biggest things that, I always encourage everybody to do is go ahead now. If you're in your 20s and 30s, 40s, you definitely need to be having a conversation with some type of financial professional, at least sitting down, at least getting those gears turning in your mind to where you are starting to realize what the outlook is going to look like if you start today, or what the outlook would look like if you start in 5 to 10 years, because we're able to kind of look at those type of things, make projections, and kind of say, hey, if you wait longer, this is what it's going to be. If you start today, this is what it's going to be. And so I really, really would encourage you to sit down, have a conversation, because not only that, a lot of things that we do in the financial industry is not always taught mainstream. So a lot of us don't even know to start thinking about it. We don't even know to plan for it. And so when those events finally do come up, we're not prepared. And it just causes a whole slew of issues that, we as a community definitely want to get on top of, and start to break those generational curses, put ourselves in a position to really be able to earn wealth, pass down wealth. And so that just starts with having conversations, being open, learning more about what we can be doing to plan properly and what we should be doing. So that's kind of what I've been seeing right now for the most part within our community.
Wonderful. Now, for those that would say they're intimidated by having the conversation or they don't have anything. So, does it make sense for me to have a conversation with someone when I don't even, have anything extra to even invest or save or anything right now? What would you say to those people?
Right. I would say, yes, I understand finances can be intimidating. It's intimidating for most people. And the thing that most people don't realize, even if you don't have money right now, most people that even do have a lot of money, they're still intimidated by the conversation of finance. So having money doesn't just make you oh, now I'm ready to talk about it. Now I'm ready to do something. No, everybody typically is kind of has the same financial education and literacy. And so instead of just coming to the table feeling like, hey, I want your help to like get me started now, I think it's important to just have the mindset of knowing what's out there, knowing what you need to plan for, to where now it might change either what you're doing. It might change, hey, you know what? Maybe I do go to Starbucks every day and I'm spending $5 to $10. And if I'm doing that 5 days out of the week, that's, that's adding up to where, okay, now maybe I will tweak something in my budget and figure out maybe I need to put that somewhere else that I now realize is more of a priority for myself. But I think still just educating yourself, that's always going to be priceless. Like, regardless if you have anything to start today or not, you still want to know, because even as we're growing, and if you have children or younger family members, you still want to pass on the knowledge and the education so they can be in a better position even than you are now. So even if maybe you feel like, hey, I'm not in a great position, still learn so you're able to pass that down to other people as well. But you don't have to have money to learn about money. You just need to kind of know what to do. And then from there, like I said, you'll start to maybe tweak some things that you're doing or find some other things to do to add some additional cash flow so you can hit those goals that you're going to want to have later on in life.
And so that you said tweak some things, and that's kind of my mindset is, when you have goals, many times you have to sacrifice
Right.
different things to hit them. And so being able to even get with someone to have a conversation to help you set those goals, I think is important. Now early on in my corporate career, there was always an option to invest in a 401k or and certain companies matched whatever percentage. And that was something that I did even early at, 21, just starting out in my career, that put me in a position to take money out and borrow against it to buy property and,
Mhm.
things like that. And I wasn't putting a lot, but it started to add up, and it did become kind of a safety net for me. If something came up, I knew I had a little money, put to the side, and you don't see it. It doesn't even hit your check, so and it's getting matched. And, the money that I put in at 21 is still growing at nearly 40. And so I think that we think we have to have a lot of money, and
Right.
there are some smaller things that we can do even early in our careers or early in life to
Right.
start to plan for what our future looks like. Other than, taking money and putting a little bit in 401k, are there any other recommendations you would give to those that are tuned in who may be really young or, not necessarily in the best financial situation, but working and bringing income? Are there any recommendations you can give them to just get started with doing something?
Right. Yes. So there are some, like, there's definitely different options that you can have for yourself. And so I would say, depending upon how you save or the frequency you can save at, you know, if you try to find more of a high yield savings account, especially if you don't have a really large emergency fund built up yet, that can definitely be a great tool, because it's really about creating habits. Even when you have a little, if you start creating a habit, the more that you have, you'll be able to keep doing that. And so I'll say, high yield savings accounts, some of them right now might be getting up to 3 to 4%, especially with what's just happened with the Fed rate. And so that's a good place to start. You definitely want to make sure you have a good emergency savings, anyways, because regardless of what you do, if you don't start having a good safety net, you're always going to dip into other things. So that's really like one of the foundational pieces, is having an emergency savings. So you don't have to dip into your long-term investments and wealth building strategies. But even from there, there's other options. You can have, IRAs, you can have Roths. Once you get some of those things going as well, there might be a time where it makes sense to have, some cash accumulation going in an insurance product. So there's definitely different options out there, but it's best to talk, with someone else, another professional, so they can look at what you have going on, what your plans are in the future, to kind of help you decide, hey, this bucket makes the most sense. Because even with all the ones that I named, you don't tend to usually need tons and tons, especially if you're starting early. You can start with a smaller amount and things can change, as you get older. But finding something to just start to create that habit in, that's going to be the most important thing, because that's going to carry you throughout life, and it'll help you when you do start having more money to put aside in different things.
Wonderful. Great tips. Love it. Now, for those that are tuned in and they're like, I need to go ahead and have a conversation with someone. I'm ready to start planning. Terry, how can they reach you?
Yes. So, you're able to reach out to me either via my social media page. So, I mostly work on Facebook as far as communication. So, my Facebook page is just my name. There's not too many people named Terry like this, spelled this way. So, it's probably pretty easy to find me. Also, you could either email me at ceo@theinfiniteempire.com, or you can even shoot me a text. A text is usually the best for me, being very busy. But even if you text me at 615-869-9484, I will get back to you as soon as I can, and we can set up some times to talk and chat. And then from there, I usually will shoot you my Calendly link and we'll set up a time there too. But that's usually the easiest places to reach me and to find me. And then, I love, like, education and financial education that me and Danielle talked about before is very important to me. So I usually take my educational talks, like, I don't charge for that type of information. I want everybody to know what's out there and help them make the better decisions for themselves and their families. So I have, complimentary consultations just to help you guys see what your finances are looking like, how to get on track, or just, like I said, just open up your mind to think about some different things that you weren't even thinking about before. But that's, how I like to speak and talk to people, and where you guys can reach me at.
Wonderful. Thank you so, so much for joining me today, Terry. It was a pleasure having you. I really
Thank you.
appreciate that you are so willing to educate and be out in the community, making sure that we do get the literacy that we need to advance and to break those generational curses that you mentioned and to grow our wealth. We appreciate you. And again, thank you so much for joining me today. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.